Thank you. Rusty. Naftali, can you hear me?
Very well.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, you're the only one there, and Hilo's the only one here. But the show must go on.
All
Okay.
right, that's the right attitude.
All right, I have handouts for today to review. However, they're on the table, and I will put them online, believing that there are sometime after class or after the first minion.
Okay, good.
For whatever they're worth, I think they're good for a quick review. All right, we were finishing yesterday at 41B. I don't remember the exact spot. Do you recall the location? Was it Amarava or somewhere near the bottom there?
I had to leave early yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Hilo. Well, Hilo will tell me. We're fine.
By the way, my grandson's name is Aryeh Leib.
Aryeh Leib, nice Jewish name. I've heard that before. Good name. Okay, I think we're up to this Echad Omer, the Mishnah stated. Yeah, that's we're up to. Echad Omer. It's about a quarter of the way down the page.
No, I got you. I got it.
Okay, Echad Omer. If one witness says, hold on 1 second. I gotta go through this quickly to the next page. If one witness says that it happened on the 2nd of the month, and another one says it was on the 3rd of the month, we learned this before. This is he's just saying what was said in the Mishnah, that the testimony is upheld. It still stands. Ad comma. So how far are you going to hold this? And the reason we said it was upheld, you said maybe one of the witnesses didn't realize that it was an Ibor Chodesh. It was, a filled month or unfilled month. It was 29 days or 30 days, and they were off by one. But how long can they be off by one? Ad comma. How many days into the month? You can assume this guy is still oblivious to when the month actually started, and then find out from anybody. Amar Rav Acha Bar Chanina, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, in the name of all these people, Ad Rubo Shel Chodesh, until half the month at least has passed. In other words, wow, baby, if he hasn't figured out by the 16th of the month, then if he says it's on the 18th, then forget about it. He's so way off. I'm a Rava. But Rava says, but we also learn the ruling from our mission. It stated, we said if one says the 4th hour, one says the 5th hour, Edis Betela. The testimony is no, it's not good. Why should be? Excuse me, 2nd and 3rd. We're going back not to the hour still, but the dates. He says, why don't we also say, I actually answered this before. Why should that be batel? It should be okay. Say one didn't know about Shnei Ibur, that it was an intercalation, meaning in Ibur, a full month or versus not a malay, not a full month. Elamishim the Rura Yada. Isn't that because we assume that most of the month has passed, that he knew that the previous month is full? In other words, he's questioning the previous answer. He's saying, wait a minute, aren't we saying that the reason it's no good for after half the month is he shouldn't have known by now? So the Gemara refutes. Actually, I could tell you that one does not know about the intercalation, even the most of the month has passed. So now we're defending that guy. We're saying, you know what? If he missed it, he missed it. So he's going to keep on counting wrongly, even if it's day 18 or 19 is in mind. He says, the shofar yada. But one usually knows the shofar, which in those days was announced at the beginning of the new month. The Chachipura Amar the Date. Regarding one shofar sounding, he could say Yud. The Trei Shipura Lo Amar the date, but he can't say regarding two, meaning if we're referring now to 2 months back, so a shofar blowing from one Rosh Chodesh, a shofar blowing from 2 Rosh Chodeshes, all right, and he didn't know, in other words, a whole month has passed, and now we're dealing in the next month, then we don't give him leeway for that. Boy, you really see how it's very important to say whose name you learn something. They're going back in the three levels here. All right. So I know someone's going to ask me right away a question. Hey, but this isn't the way we do it by Chabad. I'm not a Rav. I'm sure we have a reason why we don't do what we're going to learn right now. Don't ask me that question. If you know the answer, you could just tell me. Okay. So the answer is, until when do we make Mevachin HaChadesh, Kish Levana? Until its cavity is full. So how much is that? And now we're going to see as a machlokes, basically not against until its cavity is full, but what the definition of cavity is. If you say cavity means, like until the full moon, then you're talking about the majority of that, which would be 16 days. All right. If you're saying it's a half moon, all right, then the majority of that would be, it would be at least 7 days to reach that point. So one would require to see a full moon, you would have to already be by mid of the moon, or let's say 16, it really is 15, whatever, but let's say 16, to get to the thing that looks like what we call a half moon, that looks like you took a bow and arrow and you stuck it right there in the moon. All right, you put a diameter through it, that would be 7 days. So let's see it in Gemara. I'm Rabbi Yaakov Baridi, I'm a Rabbi Yehuda. So Rabbi Yaakov Baridi said the name of Rabbi Yehuda Ad Shiva. He says it's until the 7th of the month. Naradai, Amrei Ad Shisha. But Naradai says it's until Shisha. All right, we up to the next page. Now 42a finally. Tavayo Rav Yochanan Sfirulahu. But both concur with Rav Yochanan, in which they both feel that it's until the cavity is full. It's just how they're looking at the cavity. So one is looking at Rabbi Yehuda is when the moon becomes half full, like a bowstring. Halameva ki nafya. According to the other opinion, the Naradain, it's when the moon becomes completely full, like a round sieve, which is round. Okay, and it was a full circle, meaning 16 days. Right. Welcome. Some handouts. Amalei Ravacha Medifta Ravina. Ravacha Bar Difta said to Ravina, Livrech Atov Ametiv. So he says, well, wait a minute. He says, okay, what if it's day 8? All right, day 9. It was, what if we missed it in 7? This is why I say, don't ask me the halacha, because by Chabad, we don't do because Mevachin Chodesh until after the first week, counting from the Molad, etc., whatever it is. But he's according to the opinion that says you do Birkas HaChodesh or Kiddush Levana, same thing here, for up until 7 days. Why can't you make the bracha Tov V'Meitiv for the next 7 days? Right, the moon is still growing. It's still glowing. It's still bringing goodness. All right, just like until you get to in the summertime, not Tu B'Shvat, when all the women were dancing around and they Tu B'Av. Thank you. All right. Malay, Ravina says, you want to say we should make the bracha of our Tov V'Meitiv, past the 7th until the middle of the month, the 15th. He says, does that mean that on the second half of the month you'd make a bracha dayan emes? Like we make when we hear bad news, because at that point the moon is waning.
Rennie?
Yes.
The relevant bracha is Makadesh Kadashim.
Yeah, we're going to get into that.
Thank you.
Shortly.
Not Tova Metiv.
No,
I
And
agree.
the big issue is you have to make Hadash that bracha when the month is still new.
Which one?
The main bracha in Kiddush HaKodesh.
No, I agree with you. The question in the Gemara is, if you've passed the time where we say the moon is still new, in other words, according to the opinion of seven, and you still have a week which is still good, why can't you say Atav Ametiv? That's he missed Kiddush Levana bracha, but why can't he still make another bracha? That's what the question is. And then to that they challenge, well, if you're going to say that, you're going to tell me that he should say Dayan Emes for the other half? All right, that's what it is.
Thank you.
No, you're right there, because the fact that you asked the question shows that you know exactly what we're talking about. The true Dutch, I know who is good and who does good when the moon increases in size. The Gemara asks, but let one, in fact, recite both blessings. So the Gemara is going to answer, yeah, you want to know according to that opinion? Let him make a Tova Metiv from days 8 to 16, and then afterwards he can make Baruch Dayan Emes. Kind of crazy answer, but listen, Gemara answers, Kevin the Hainu Orche, since this is the way of the moon, Lo Mevach, and he says, no, wait a minute. This is how the moon goes. It waxes and it wanes. It waxes and it wanes. And don't tell me wax on, wax off. We're talking about the moon. So you're not going to automatically always make a bracha, type of metiv while it's waxing, because this is just nature. You sing over and over again. All right? It's going to happen every month. All right? And again, these three rabbis said, so anyone who makes the true Kiddush Levana in the right time, which in this case, according to one opinion, is first 7 days, and according to the other, it's the first half month. Kilo Mekaba Pnei Shechina. All right, it's as if he was accepting the divine presence. Because it's written. All right, it says in Shmos Chodesh Zelachem Rosh Chodashim. Hold on, okay. And then it says here, this month, Ksiv Hasam Keli Vandel is written elsewhere. This is my God, and I'll glorify him. So the word Zeh, I believe, is found in each place. All right. So Tanadve Rabbi Yishmael. Oh, wait. Let's just leave it at that. We're going to come to that in a moment. So in the Bryce, in the Yeshiva of Rabbi Yishmael, it says, "Imolei lo zachi so ela lekabel pnei abiyan shebashem kol chodesh v'chodesh dayim." Right? He's emphasizing the fact that they taught in the yeshiva there that had Bnei Yisrael been privileged only to greet Hashem's presence, all right, in heaven once each month, which is when we do it. All right, we don't need all these brachas every day. That just make a kiddush. That would be enough. Dayenu. All right. Dayenu. Amar Abaye. So Abaye says, Hilchach Nemru Me'umad. That's why we say it's standing up. We go outside and we say nobody sits down. We stand up when we do kiddush. Why? Because not just because we're making kiddush, but we're being mekabel pnei hashchina. All right? That's in fact why when we make the bracha, we don't look at the moon. We look at the moon once at the beginning to assure that it's, we see the moon, and then we look away and make the bracha because we're being mekabel Hashem, blessing us with the new moon. That's why we say it standing, and it brings a raya that Merema and Mazudra would be supported on the shoulders of others in order to bless the moon while standing. All right, they were so old that they couldn't stand up on themselves. All right, so they would lean on people's shoulders. All right, that was still considered standing. It's like when someone goes up for an aliyah. All right, sometimes people, you're supposed to stand for an aliyah. All right, sometimes people to see the words and this and that, or to lean along with the Balkora, they're leaning on the table a bit. So leaning apparently a little bit is okay. You're still standing. All right. It's just a side point. which may or may not be right. Anyway, Amalei Ravach Ravashi. All right, Ravacha said to Ravashi, the Marava Mevarche Baruch Mechadesh Chadashim. All right, this is what you said earlier, right, Naphtali? All right, so in the West, which is Eretz Yisrael, all right, we would say, hold on, let me just make sure. Yeah, because it's west of Bavel, all right, we would say the whole bracha, Baruch Mechadesh Chadashim. He who renews the months. Ravashi objects to this version of the bracha, and he presents another one. Ravashi says, Ravacha, Hi Nashi Dina Namin Bevache. This formulation, even women can bless it. It's so simple. It's interesting. Yesterday, we brought how women who are learned, we call them a chavir, we don't have to warn them, all right, this and that. And here we're not belittling women, but we're saying, any woman can do this. It's like any guy can do that, So it's just giving example of that even an average woman can do this. And yet we have women who are just as learned as Talmidei Chachamim. Ela Rabbi Yehuda. Rather the blessing, now they're saying it really should be what Rabbi Yehuda said. Dama Rabbi Yehuda, I'm hearing some chuckling here. For Rabbi Yehuda said that woke is out. All right, we're in for this. Rabbi Yehuda said the one, but I'm actually saying it's okay. Everyone who's deserving and knows it, they qualify. Brach Asher B'maro Bara Shechakim. This is what the bracha says. Who with his utterance, talking about Hashem, created the heavens, with Ruach Piv Kol Tzvam, and with the breath of his mouth, all their legion. All right? He decreed the schedule he gave to them and all their assigned work, meaning the schedule of the moon, waxing and waning, and the sun going from one side to the other. They're very happy and joyous to do the will of Hashem. Their work is of truth, whose work is truth. And to the moon, he said, renew yourself each month. And this is a crown of splendor for those born by him from the womb, who are destined to renew themselves like this. Right? And what that means, the renewal of the moon, which is a crown of splendor, is an evocative metaphor to the sign to the Jews that they too will eventually be restored to their former grandeur. All right, that's nice because we go through hard times, but we should always know that we go through hard times, we'll eventually come back to be up on top again. And history has always proven that.
Amen.
Amen. Cain Yirbo. All right?
Can you hear its own?
And we shouldn't have to go through the hard times anymore.
Amen.
And to glorify, this is the whole bracha here, to the molder for the name of his glorious kingdom, bracha Hashem mechadesh chadashim, as Naphtali said, that is the entire bracha. All right.
Don't pick favorites.
No, I'm not picking favorites. He said the answer. All right. Well, I don't know what you were doing there. The Gemara concludes its digression by citing one last statement by Rav Acha bar Chanin, name of Rabbi Yochanan. Again, look at the way Gemara always cites the sources. For by wise counsel you shall wage your war. So what does that mean, wise counsel? An explanation of this verse, Amar Rabbi Acha bar Chanina, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rav Yochanan, again naming all the people from where it comes from. B'mi ata motei milchama Torah. With whom do you find the battle of Torah? B'mi sheyesh biado chavilas shel Mishnah. With those who have in his hand bundles of Mishnah. Bundles of Mishnah meant that he if you're going to fight a battle, it could be a battle of the Yetzer Hara, a battle against bad people, a battle against anything that's going to take us away from being a good Jew, all right, you need to know Mishnayos at a minimum, all right? Because if you know your Mishnayos, all right, you've got a basis. Now, once you know, you can't even learn Gemara without Mishnayos. Every Gemara starts with a Mishnah, right? Krei Rabbi Yossi an Yishay. All right, so Rabbi Yossi, similarly, Rabbi Yosef applied the following verse to himself. He said, Rav Tvua b'voach shua. Much produce produce comes by the strength of an ox. Right? It's a very kind of strange thing. This is from Mishlei. He's referring Rav Yosef to himself because Yosef was also called an ox in the Torah. All right, so that's where he's getting from. Amar, all right, let's continue. The Gemara returns to the mission, elaborates on the next ruling stated there. All right, we started to say this before. What if someone says it's in the second hour? All right, and then they said one that says in the third hour, because it was only an hour apart, we said it was still emes for nothing, it was still kayim, the answer. Amar Rav Simi Barashi, but Rav Shimi Barashi said, Loshano Elashas. They taught these rulings only in respect to a discrepancy in the hours of the day. All right, Edus and Betela. But if when they're talking an hour apart, one said it was before sunrise when it's still dark, and the other said it was an hour later after sunrise when it's light, that obviously that's a discrepancy. All right, and in those cases, we disqualified them in the interrogation. Pshita, so his answer, that's obvious. He says, so they want to qualify this more. But rather, one witness said it occurred before sunrise, and the other one says it happened in the middle of sunrise. Then their testimony is null. So that's the chiddush here.
Why? Because sunrise is like clear cut?
Because it's not necessarily clear cut, and the other one might have seen some light. I don't know. We can't say it was from, what do you call it, Alos Hashacha, which is before, or maybe that's what it's referring to. He saw a little light, but wasn't sunrise, or maybe he saw light from something else. Whatever it is, they're saying that's not good. Hanami Pshita. So I was going to say, wait a minute, this is also obvious. Said Maldas Dema. What is it that you might have said to reconcile the two disparate testimonies? This witness said the offense occurred at sunrise, and he was standing in the glow before sunrise. Oh, so that's what we said. The other, that's what I just said. The other one actually was probably after Alas Hashachar. So he saw the glow in the sky, but it wasn't really sunrise yet. And he thought the sun was already rising.
Like
had he taken a walk like I do on the boardwalk when no one's around, all right, start to see the little light before the sun comes up. Kamash Milan, Rav Shimi Barashi says this informs us that no one must make such mistake, and so the conflicting testimonies avoided. All right, so you really have to be medactic even on that. After this examination of the first witness, then they admit the second witness. They said this before. The Mishnah continued. And if the one of the disciples says, wait a minute, I have this talking within the deliberations, I have an argument in favor of the defendant, then we're talking about not the 23 people who are sitting in the Beis Din, but one of the students, Talmidim, they're in front there. Then they elevate them, come join us, come up front on the floor, all right? And he stayed there the whole day. He said his piece, all right? We're going to learn, why didn't you just send him back down after he said that? The Gemara, and it was when I say, okay, you're excused. Thanks for your, budding in, Rabbi Badinsky, whatever. Oh, so Hayam Besulo. It's only on that day that the disciples sat with the judges and no more, all right? It's a question, really. You mean that's it? After that, he doesn't go down? Kind of, that sounds a little bit contradictory to yesterday when we were learning about Ben Zakkai. And the whole thing was, why don't we call him Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai? And we learned it because he wasn't on the Sanhedrin yet. This is when he was a Talmud, right? But then they said he was so smart when he made his comment that they brought him up and then they kept him there. So there we learned they kept him. And here we're saying, no, he goes down the first day. So, so here's the answer. We learned this in the Brisa. If there's substance to his words, in other words, hey, this guy really brought up, he had a good upshot. He brought up something good. Guess what? Just like with Rabbi Yochanan Ben Zakkai, we never let him go. we say, hey, we got a gold guy here. Let's keep this one. Ain't mamish b'dvarav. But if it turns out that this chiddush or what is raya, whatever you want to say, wasn't really had much substance, guess what? We respectfully keep him up there for the day, but the next day he's excused and he doesn't have to come down. And Yered call Yom Kulo, but we don't let him go down that whole first day. Kadei Shalote Aliyah Yerida Lo. Why? Because you don't want an Aliyah to end up in Yerida. The only time we ever want, my side comment, an Aliyah to end up in Yerida is Mashiach will come. So when people die, when we make a bracha in the name of the mitzvahs, they want them to have an Aliyah so that they will soon come down in the Yerida, Mamash, right? Okay. Amar Abaye. Abaye said, that's just my side comment. Amar Abaye. Abaye said, Targum Aim Ein Mamash B'Dvarav. Interpret our Mishnah as referring to a case where there was no substance to his words. So in such a case, the disciple remains with the judge only from one day, as the Brisa states. Now, the Mishnah stated, Matzu Zoschus, but if they found a reason to acquit him, Mishnah continues, then they acquit him. But if not, what we learn that they stop for the day. By the end of that day, they don't automatically, they don't have an answer yet, and they'll think about overnight. All right, and they'll break up into chavrusas, etc., etc. They're going to have a little bit of wine, but in the morning we'll come back to us. But it says here they won't drink wine the entire day of the further deliberations. And now we're going to learn why is it that it says that when they do further deliberations, after they really can't come to a conclusion for whatever reason, because they have, let's say, only one to sentence him as opposed to two, which were with one you can acquit, but you need two to sentence, a majority of two to sentence him or convict him would be the word. So what's the reason you can't drink wine? Or let's say one said, I don't know, and therefore you're stuck with 11, so we don't even have a base, then you're going to have to bring two. What's the reason they can't drink wine? Rabbi Acha bar Chanina, Rabbi Achi bar Chanina says, Amar Kra, the verse states, L'roznim e shichur. For rulers, it's not fitting to drink intoxicating beverages, okay? So what does it mean for rulers? So this can be interpreted to mean ha'oskim barazo show olam show al yishkaru. The ones who are involved in the secrets of the world should not become drunk. So Rosnim we're here is, since a human being, the commentary says here in the Marashah, is a microcosm of the entire universe and therefore contains all the secrets, then it teaches that those who judge capital cases, all right, shouldn't drink wine. Interesting comment, Marashah. The other thing
I don't believe Dr. Stein drinks. I don't believe you enjoy a drink.
I don't drink, you know.
No, so I'm saying.
Right.
No.
So I come. Okay. Most I drink is 4 ounces of bar tanura on a rare day, on a very rare day.
Now we know why. You're
Okay.
involved with the secret of the world.
All right. No, but what's interesting is that, remember on Erev Shabbos, when we say Kegavna, do we say Kegavna or is it the Misnagim say, whatever one we say, we always say Raja, the secrets of the world. So we could actually apply, that's, we're saying, all that stuff, this and that, and that's the secrets of the world. I don't think, even though Marashah says it's we as a microcosm of the universe know the secrets, I don't know if we really know the secrets. Certainly Chachamim know the secrets. Okay. The Gemara moves to the last section of the Mishnah. If they found a reason to acquit him, the Mishnah then explained that if the vote was equally split, then there was abstention. Or if there was an abstention, no, that's how there was an abstention. Where 11 said yes, 11 said yay, 11 said nay, and one guy said, I don't know. Or if there was a majority of 2 who did not vote for conviction, as we said before, because you need 2, it has to be 13 against, 12 against 9. Is that, no, 14. To have 2, that's for 21. whatever the math is, when you have two in favor, two more is the majority to convict. If we don't have that, then we add judges to the court, and we always add two judges at a time. Hillel said, or asked a question yesterday, yeah, but then we will always be uneven if we don't count the guy who said, I don't know. We keep them on, all right? We just add two, and then we go back to deliberating, all right? And then maybe that guy will have an answer later on, and we're going to do another count. So if the vote was still indecisive at that point, the judges would deliberate amongst themselves until someone changed the vote, thus allowing for a verdict. The Gemara inquires, what happens if they still don't agree with the decisive vote? What if there's still deadlock? All right, I'm a Ravacha, Patrin, so Ravacha says, guess what? We acquit him. The Chenam or Rav Yochanan says, yes, Patrin, so we acquit him. The Gemara asks, Amalei Rav Papa, L'Abaye, Rav Turi Mikara. So why don't you acquit him from the start? In other words, why are you saying that, we kept on adding 2 and 2 and 2 until we finally get to 71. And now if we're still deadlocked, you acquit. Why don't you just stop at the beginning with 23? If it's a deadlock, you have an 11 against 11 and one doesn't know. Well, why not stop there? Why do you have to go through this whole spiel of adding 2 and 2 at a time? Amalei Abai says, Rav Papa, Hachiyam Rav Yochanan. This is what Rav Yochanan said, Kidei Shelo Yetzu Mi Beis Din Mubarin. Because so that the Beis Din shouldn't go out in a confused state, right? Because it's very disgraceful for a trial to end in disagreement, all right, and not knowing how to do the verdict. Then you say, well, what kind of Beis Din is this? What kind of Supreme Court is this? They can't even come
Kangaroo
up with the
court.
answer. Yeah, it's a kangaroo court, all right, in Australia, right? Okay, the Gemara presents another version of the exchange between Abaye and Rav Papa. Ika damrei amalei Rav Papa l'Abaye. Okay, there are those that say this is what Rav Papa said to Abaye. V'lama lo yosifu? Why don't v'lama li yosifu? And why do we add the extra judges? Li patre mi beidina kama. All right, because we're trying to acquit him on the basis of the first court's indecisive vote, and we really want to acquit him. We don't just want to stop and say we don't have an answer. Amalei. My answers to Rav Papa, Rav Yossi Kai Kavasich. Rav Yossi agrees with you. The Tanya was taught in the Bryce, Rav Yossi, B'Shem Shem Masipin are based in Shim V'Echad, Kachin Masipin are based in Shawesrim Shlosha. So according to Rav Yossi, yeah, you just stop at 23, and just like you'd stop at 71. That's his opinion, Rav Yossi's opinion. That you know what? We stop there. You don't have it. You step out and you say, guess what, guys? We couldn't come to
Take the rest of the day off.
Take the rest of the day off. Tan Rabbanan, rabbis taught. Okay, we're going to cite a brisa that has bearing on this last discussion. One can say about monetary cases, the case became old. In the fashion stuck in Hadin. But we don't say the cases became old. We'll explain what that means in capital cases. Mine is stuck in Hadin. What does this mean? It's become old. Stop it with the camera. Keep it down. Right. Ilema kashdina. If you say that the case is difficult and complex, all right, and so in monetary cases, a disposition should be delayed, that can't be. Ibcha by lay. The Bryce should say the opposite. We should say in a capital offense, it's a very difficult case. We don't want to wrongly convict the person, all right? We're kind of deadlocked at the moment. We're delaying this until further deliberations. Gemara answers, Rav Huna bar Manoach, Mishmei the Rav Acha, the Rav Ika, again, several levels of going back. Who said this? Ipa. Reverse the two statements, all right? That the Brisa teaches for capital cases, we should delay the decision. The Gemara suggests another interpretation of the Brisa. Rav Ashi Amar, Rav Ashi says, no, you never switch. Mine is ducking. So what does it mean the case became old? Chacham Dina. The case was wisely decided. It's a nice way of saying it, right? In other words, b'chachma, it was with wisdom. This is the decision we came to. The Gemara doesn't like it. The Gemara objects, Meisvei. They challenge the first interpretation of the Brisa. Gadol Shabadanin Omin Nizdakin Hadin. The most eminent of the judges says the case became old. So just like there's a foreman in the jury, and there's the speaker of the house or whatever, the head guy in the head Rav in the Beis Din here, he will make the statement it's old. Now this ruling is understandable if he's going to say it was widely decided. We have met and we all figured out and in our wisdom that this is going to be the law. That's why the most eminent person says it. But Ella Iamras Kashtina, if he's going to say, you know what, this case is really difficult. We need to delay this, our disposition. That's kind of a letdown. It's kind of he's ranking out himself. It's not appropriate that the head judge should say that. Why don't you have one of the lower judges say that? Because he's embarrassing himself by saying that. The Gemara answers yes. All right. He says, but there's no comparison to embarrassing oneself than to being embarrassed by others. First of all, it's a big avera if someone else embarrasses you in public. All right. But in this case, if you have a more junior judge get up and make this statement, he's essentially embarrassing the senior judge, all right? And so better the senior judge should always make the statement. Let the speaker of us, let the foreman always say how we stand, all right? It also say, the ruling of the Brisa is understandable, even if you're saying the case is difficult, we have to have it delayed. Because there's no comparison between embarrassing oneself and embarrassing others. But if you say that the case was widely decided, now we're going to raise the question. If the elder judge or the number one is going to say, oh, we were so wise, we came up with this, doesn't sound like he's giving himself self-praise. It's not appropriate, we learn, for someone to praise themselves. It says we've learned in Mishlei that it says in Mishlei, let someone else compliment you. You don't compliment yourself. Shani milta dveidina. A judicial pronouncement, the Gemara answers, a judicial pronouncement is different. The Agado Ramya, because it falls upon the most eminent judge to make it Kidisnan, as we learn, Kamras Adava Machnisa. So when they concluded the matter, they bring in the litigants, Gado Shibadayanin, Omer Ishploni Atazakai, Ishploni Atachayev. And then he makes a statement, Andran Alecha Hayu Butkin. All right, so we finished Hayu Butkin. All right, now we're up to side B, 42B.
There's no further pages in this.
I know. Hold on. I'm trying to get to here. Also, menu. Go to. Come on.
Boy, finally.
Brachas, Sanhedrin. Bear with me a second. Go. We're going to be behind. Don't worry, we'll make it up. Let's go as quick as we can. Hold on, we're still going. Still got 18 minutes. The handouts
on Thursday.
probably, but because we're still a page behind. I'm still trying to pull this up. You want to give me your Gemara and you can fool around with. We only finished 42A. We have to 42B.
No, this book only goes to 42A.
Well,
we're
that's
done.
why the Gemara here is giving me all the time.
Yeah.
All right, it's not pulling up. Hold on. What's going on here next? I need anything. I'm going to tell you right now what we're going to be discussing for 42B. All right. We're going to say once we come to the verdict, all right, then, and let's say the verdict is that the guy's guilty and we have to kill him. Where do we kill him? Do we just put him right there in front of the court and kill him? And the answer is no. We're going to say you have to take him out, pass outside of the machna. Oh, find me 43B.
42B.
All right. And and then we're going to bring different sukkah and rayas from the Torah. What does that mean outside of the machane? Is it outside of machane Shechina, machane Levium, machane in general, Yisrael? Which there's three machanes, there's three encampments. All right, so to say, and we're going to learn that we take them out of all three. And when based in no longer sitting in, within Yerushalayim, or like we learned the other day, they moved to another place in the but we would then whatever they making the din on, then they would still remove from beyond. And then the Gemara is going to go further. Is that where it starts?
42B or
42B.
Okay.
No, let me work. Oh wait, let me see this. Let me see this. I'll try this. I never did this. Okay. And then we're also going to learn that when we do it, the basin, someone stands just outside the basin with a handkerchief, a kerchief, and someone else is at the furthest distance it can be from seeing the guy, and he's on a horse. All right. And then obviously it's even further where they're going to kill the guy. All right. And why do we do this thing? Is so that number one, we don't want him to be killed near the basin. And number two, what if at the last minute someone comes up and says, whoa, I have a riot that, we should save him. All right. So then the guy with the handkerchief, he waves the kerchief, and the guy on the horse sees it. And then the guy, this is the guy on the horse runs with the horse and goes and stops the execution. Or am I thinking of what was those old games where the ball goes down and it hits
Basketball?
No, then
Tennis.
it hits this. Quiet.
Football?
Pinball?
Ping
No,
pong?
you know this not totally. They make
Baseball?
Stop it, make it as kids. You'd set up something, the ball would roll down, the ball would hit something,
Bowling.
and then hit something else.
Bowling?
Hell, come to me. Let's forget that. All right. Okay, Mishnah.
Trying to help you out.
Nigmar Din, once the law is over, Matina so Lesukla, we take him out to stone him. Beiskila Yachut Lebeistin, the Beiskila, the place where we stone, will be outside of the Beishin, Shneamar Tzi Es Amakalo. All right. Take out, we're quoting it. You take out the guy who did the curse. I don't know why that happens. Maybe you have to restart it. Right. Pesach based in, right? So, and this way just said, one guy stands only at the opening of the basin. The font is so small in this. V'hasudrin biyado, he has the handkerchief in his hand. V'sis rachok mimenu k'dei she'ei ro'o, and the other guy's on a horse. I just said this, far away, but enough that he could still see him. Omer echad, we got it there. Okay, give me at the beginning. Yesh lamed alav schus. All right, and all of a sudden somebody says, "Oh, I have a way to save him." All right, hold on with the Gemaras. Hang in there a moment. So the guy flags the flag. All right, and thank you. Hello, and the guy on the horse gets moving to save the guy. We bring him back to the courthouse. Afilo Abba Chamesh Pamim, in 4 or 5 times we'll go through this. As long as whoever's bringing up this last-ditch effort to save the guy has substance to his values, all right, and that shows how much we what do you call it? Value life. Thank you. We value life. That if there's a chance at the end to pardon him and save him, we're still going to do it. All right.
Truth.
Okay. Based on the truth, right? And remember, can you take this one? All right. The house, the location of where they would do stoning was way outside of the basin. And there was two. Tanya saying, did we learn it's even further. Then we learned that was completely outside of the city, beyond all three machanes, beyond all three camps. And in Kedamarta, Kedamart, yes, it's like we learned, this is how the Mishnah taught. Nafkamine, the Nafek Bay, Dina, the Yese, Chutz, L'Shalosh Makamas. That is, what emerges from the Mishnah's ruling is the court left the city confines and convened outside the three camps. Avadin Beis Haskila Chutz Leveistin. Or even though we must be sure to situate the stoning certain distance from it. All right, so I mentioned this outside of the Gemara, that no matter what, there had to be quite a distance between where the guy would be stoned and where the basin sat. Inami kihechi deseheve alei hatzala. Ultimately, so that the condemned should have the possibility of rescue, and that's why we had this kerchief and the horse situation. So where do we derive this from? All right, I just told you all, but where we learn this. So it's Tan Rabbanan. The rabbis learned in the Brisa. We learned in the case of Makalo, is in Vayikra, the guy who's cursing Hashem, right, and he's Chayiv Misa, he needs to be killed. You brought him outside of the camp, right? Shlosh Machanes. The verse means he should really been brought out of all three camps. So now that you say he should be removed of all three camps, maybe it only meant it should be removed from one camp. To this we may answer, it's stated here in reference to the blasphemer outside the camp. The name of the foreign and in the case of their two bulls that are burned, all right? There we also use the term michutz lemachaneh, outside of the machaneh. It is likewise stated outside the camp, all right? So we're going to learn Gzeira Shah. Malahalan chutz l'shalosh machanas. My mouth is dry. Thus, just as there, it's okay. I'm okay. In regard to bull offerings, it's outside of the camp. All right. Then even here, it's outside of all three. So how did we learn over there that it's outside of three camps? The Tanam Rabbanan, because the Rabbanan learned, it says that he should remove the entire bull to a place outside of the camp. This means outside of all three camps. So we're saying again the question, is it outside of all three camps or is it just outside of one? To this one reply, so he's saying when you said it's going outside camp, it's talking in the regard for when a bull was burnt because there was a mistake done with regard to the community. All right. I'm not going into what exactly that is. You can ask your Rav. I think that's talking about when they gave a judgment, which
You just said
was
we were
the
going to talk
community.
about it.
Yeah, I know, but I'm just saying what I think is when they made a judgment that ends up the community were as a result of that, but I'm not really sure. Shane Tamad Lama, there's actually no need for scripture to mention Sharei Kva Nema V'Saraf also Kasher Sarafis Barishon. All right, but wait a minute, we mentioned there's two different bulls. So they're saying one, and this ain't no bull. We already said with regard to the first bull that you should burn him outside. All right. So why you have to mention here again that you take him outside by the second bull? So we learn from the facts mentioned by the second bull that you have to take him out at least to a second camp. And so why do we say three camps? Shein Talmud Loma, Shema Omer B'deshen Shein Talmud Loma Sharei Kvar Nemalo Shefa Chadesh and Yisraf. Okay, so how do we know three camps? It's because it's mentioned also by the ashes. Okay, the ashes have to be removed. So basically, Moshe was told to remove the bull from the first camp. All right, and then it's mentioned again with the second bull it's removed, which is from Moshe is Machane Leviya. I know, whichever way you count it, it ends up with 3 camps. Anyway, so we come to the conclusion it's 3 camps. But let us instead derive the location of the stoning, which is what we're talking about, skila, from the precedent of the outside slaughter. Just as there, the camp is outside of one camp, so too, we stone them outside of one camp. Of the 2 options, is more reasonable to establish the derivation than the cases of the bulls that are burnt. All right. Shekain Adam Chote Benisrav. Wait. Okay, I say no. It's better to learn it from the Gemara's conclusion. I'm rushing, so I can't think it out. Is we end up learning it from the bulls that are burnt, and it's better to learn that way and from the ashes. All right. Adam now Shekain or other ways. Adam Chote Benishama Pigo. Now we're going to give some other examples. Maybe we'll learn. But a man and a sinner might make a mistake in Pigo. All right. This is an acronym shared by the blasphemy and outside slaughterer, but not by the 2 bull offerings. Machshir and Machshir are deflate. The Tana preferred to derive law from something that prepares for law of something else that prepares. Well, that's a little confusing here. Okay. They don't learn from that. I think you're supposed to learn more from the positive than from negative something. I think I have it in my notes. Rapapa Amar, 5 minutes left here. Moshe Hecha Hava Yosef. Where was Moshe sitting? He was in the Levium because Moshe was a Levi. And Rahmana said, and he said, Hashem said to him, take the Makalo outside of the camp. So to Moshe that meant he has to take him out of the camp of the Levium. All right, so we're already out of 2 camps. Thus, when scripture relates to another words, when he moved out of camps, then because we're now referring, we keep on repeating this, that's the 3rd camp. All right. Because when Hashem was talking to Moshe, he was removing him from the 2nd camp, and then another person comes to remove him from the 3rd camp. So that's the way we're learning 3 camps. The second verse you have quoted is needed simply to inform you of the performance of the command. It tells us that Jews actually removed the blasphemer to execute him as God had directed them. All right, the Gemara responds, Asiya behedya, what was the last word there? Behedya, what's the last word on the page there? I just lost it. Behedya ksiva, all right? The performance of the command is written explicitly later. Did I finish on my days?
You're done.
Okay, all right. And
Thank you.
even though it's a little confusing at the end, I believe in my notes, which those people have here, but I will send them out.
No, it's a confusing daf. You did a good job.
But I think in the English I was able to put it.
You did a good job.
Okay, thank you very much. Whoever
Okay,
was.
Rennie, take it off recording for a moment, would you please?
I don't know how to do the
Only the host could.
I can't do that.
Only the host.
Call me. All right. I'll call you back in a second. All right. Bye. Okay.